Good day, everyone. I am Charlene B. Maloloy-on, and for our topic for today, it's all about a capacity planning. So, what is capacity requirement planning? A capacity requirement planning, it is a process through which a company figures out how much product it needs to make and determines if it has the ability to meet its production goals. You can also understand CRP as a management tool that's based on using a company's resources efficiently by projecting its production expectations accurately. If a company finds that its production capacity is inadequate, then it may alter its production goals or take another step to bring expectation in line with capacity, which could include contracting with another firm that has excess capacity to handle its production. So there are three things a production must consider when looking at producing goods and services for their customers. First is the capacity, second is the demand forecasting, and third is production planning. Capacity is how much they can produce, and demand forecasting is how much is the requirement from the market. And third, production planning is how the organization is going to match what is required with how much they can produce without wasting resources. So these factors are all impact upon each other in order to fulfill the requirements of a market. An operation must be able to evaluate what capacity it can provide and the options it has to increase or decrease this. It is not just a case of offering the amount of goods and services wanted. It is also an issue of timing and when these are required. This can give an operation of a number of problems when attempting to plan capacity. So next is capacity. Capacity as output, which can be measured as business capacity or output as sum total of its products or services. Also, capacity, it is the upper limit or ceiling on the load that an operating unit can handle, like the number of physical units produced, for example, bottles produced per hour, or the number of services performed. The operating unit might be a plant, machine, store, or worker. Also, capacity includes equipment, space, and employee skills. So next is the higher and lower capacity. So higher capacity means that the higher the capacity utilization, the lower the cost per unit, allowing a business to gain an edge over its competitors. Like high volume of production, per unit cost is low, high profits, demand versus supply is matched, customer satisfaction is high, high initial capital requirements. While low capacity will result in a decrease in price because there are excess capacity and insufficient demand for the input produced. Like how volume of production per unit cost is high, low profits as price is fixed, and insufficient demand versus supply, customer satisfaction is low and require low initial capital. So next is the importance capacity of decisions. So the importance of capacity decisions relates to their potential impact on the ability of the organization to meet future demand for products and services. Capacity essentially limits the value of output possible. If manufacturing plant has higher capacity, then it allows the ability to meet future demands. It affects operating costs of the company. It is the major determinant of initial costs. It affects competitiveness and it affects ease of management. So next is the capacity in respect of capability. Capability means the capacity and ability. For example, if a transport bus has a setting capacity of 54 passengers, it can still move with another 20 standing passenger, as the bus engine has the ability of carrying that additional load. Thus, the capability of the bus is more than the seating capacity. Next is capacity in respect of inputs. If a machine can handle a specific amount of raw materials in a particular period of time, it is called input capacity. Example, a machine is able to process 90 kilograms of raw materials per hour. And lastly is the capacity in respect of output. If a machine able to produce 1,000 units of finished goods, leather shoes in each hour, it is the output capacity of the machine. So next is the type of capacity to be reported by Melinda.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Melinda Marabilesa. I am the second reporter in Lesson 3. So, paganina, nakahibaw na ta sa capacity requirements planning, reason, og objectives sa capacity planning, and so on. In my report, makahibaw na pud ta sa types of capacity, but before that, let me tell you who is responsible for capacity planning. Well, to answer it, the capacity manager is responsible sa pag-ensure sa services o infrastructure that are able to deliver the agreed capacity and performance target in a cost-effective and timely manner. So, iyang gi-consider ang tanan nga resources required to deliver the services and plan for short, medium, and long-term businesses requirements. So nakaibaw na ta kinsa ang responsible sa capacity planning ug iyahang role. So let us now move to the types of capacity. There are 6 types of capacity: adjustable capacity, design capacity, license capacity, system capacity, installed capacity, effective, actual, utilized capacity. Adjustable capacity. From the word itself, adjustable. So it is to adjust the capacity of the process against the load, which cannot be handled only by equalizing the load, such as loading and leveling. So in adjustable capacity, the capacity for each period is set according to the standard capacity, maximum capacity, and the accumulation of the capacity. But it will depend upon the size of workforce, number of hours, number of shifts, and subcontracting. To simply say, the capacity that can be adjusted. Design capacity. Design capacity is the output that an operation can produce continuously at maximum rate without stopping for any shift changeover, maintenance, or any other delays. It is the maximum amount of work that an organization is capable of completing in a given period. It is what the process is capable of producing under perfect conditions. Furthermore, design capacity is an important consideration in capacity planning because achieving more capacity isn't always a simple matter of adding more inputs. Things have limits. So the example of design capacity are: a company factory is designed to manufacture 150 tons of cement a day. So napoy-lain nga example such as: a restaurant is designed for a maximum of 120 seats. In order to achieve its design capacity, it requires 12 staff and other inputs such as ample. The batch production line of a bakery can produce 100,000 loaves of bread an hour on a fully staffed shift. Next slide, please. License capacity. It is the legally allowed capacity. This denotes the actual capacity licensed by the concerned government authorities. Before starting the actual production, an organization needs to declare such required capacity, which government authorities finally vouch after due inspection of available facilities in the organization. Example: liquor management. Moreover, in reality, a particular organization may obtain higher license capacity, keeping in view the future expansion requirements. Next slide, please. System capacity. It is the maximum output of the specific product or product mix the system of worker and machine is capable of producing as an integrated whole. System capacity is less than design capacity or at the most equal because of the limitation of product mix, quality, specification, or breakdowns. The actual is even less because of many factors affecting the output, such as actual demand, downtime due to machine or equipment failure, or unauthorized absenteeism. Next slide, please. Installed capacity. It, re- it represents capacity of output of a machine provided at the time of the machine actually installed. Machines produced for installation have some defined capacity, as provided in their printed literature. Summation of such capacity gives a total installed capacity. As explained earlier, installed capacity may not be exactly at the same level of licensed capacity for the obvious less installation of the plant facilities by organization without adequate commercial run. Next is effective actual or utilized capacity. Effective capacity is the actual output of any production system at any given point of time. This is considered how the operation will run on a long-term basis, how it will be staffed, and how it will be maintained. All planned stoppage under the normal working time frame are taken into consideration. This can also be known as available capacity. This stoppage may include shift changeover, lunch break, setup time, and many other operational factors. It is always lesser than installed or designed capacity because the facility may have been designed for an earlier version of the product or a different product mix than is currently being produced. Moreover, actual capacity is the same as effective capacity but contains unplanned losses as well as planned ones. This could include poor work rate, absenteeism, or new staff training, for example. Example of effective capacity: an office has an effective capacity of 400 employees based on the design of the building and availability of resources such as power that are required to operate the facility. Next slide, please. Efficiency and utilization. Efficiency, efficiency it is the actual output or performance with available capacity at any point of time. It is the percent of effective capacity achieved. To measure efficiency, used effective capacity and denominator. Efficiency equals to actual output divided by the effective capacity. For example, effective capacity kay 100 a day, then ang actual output kay 800 a day. To know the available capacity at any point of time, efficiency equals to actual output nga 80 a day tas divided by effective capacity nga 100 a day kay 0.8. Then multiplied by 100%, then ang answer kay 80%. So mano siya ang efficiency. Sa utilization, it is the actual output of or performance with total available capacity, that is the design capacity. It is the percent of design capacity achieved. To measure how much of the total available capacity is actual being used, utilization equals to actual output divided by design capacity. For example, design capacity kay 120 a day, then ang actual output kay 80 a day. To know the total available capacity, utilization equals to actual output nga 80 a day tas divided by design capacity nga 120 a day kay 0.666666667, then multiplied by 100%, then ang answer kay 66.66 or 67%. So both efficiency and utilization are measured and expressed as percentage. Next slide, please. So, another example between efficiency and utilization. Design capacity 50 trucks a day ang available. Effective capacity kay 40 trucks a day. Then ang actual output kay 36 a day. Nga naman nga kanang Ang effective capacity kay 40 nga ang actual output kay 36 raman because ang 20% sa truck capacity na goes through sa planned maintenance. Ang 3 trucks kay na delayed sila og under maintenance niya ang usa ka truck kay na flat tire. So sa pagkuha sa efficiency is actual output divided by the effective capacity. So 36 trucks a day divided by 40 trucks a day times 100, you will get 90%. Sa utilization pod kay actual output divided by design capacity. 36 trucks a day divided by 50 trucks a day times 100% is equal to 72%. Next slide, please. So, capacity planning. In an ever-changing world, it might feel like you need a crystal ball to plan for your company's future. How could you know how much product you need to order in 3 months, 6 months, or a year if orders haven't come in yet? How do you adapt to evolving customer expectation or scale your business fast to avoid stockouts if our urge of order comes in? Well, to answer to this question are simpler than you might think. Successful business of all types use capacity planning to answer similar questions every day. So what is capacity planning? Capacity planning is the practice of planning, determining production capacity and workforce need to make sure your supply chain is equipped to meet demand for its products in the market. It is between the organization and the demand of customers a discrepancy in a way that it could result in efficiency, either in underutilized resources or unfulfilled customer demand. Because the goal of capacity planning is to minimize this discrepancy. Because discrepancy in a way that it lack of agreement or balance between the organization and the customer's demand. So here are the benefits of capacity planning, such as reduced stockouts because customers don't like to wait, and if they don't have to, they won't. The internet has made it easy for consumers to find product somewhere else if you're out of stock. So you need to reduce stockouts if you want to minimize customer current. Increase delivery capacity. As online sales grow ever more popular, delivery capacity is becoming an essential component for many businesses. In another global consumer study conducted by Oracle Retail, 92% of retail shoppers said they would like or love free one-day delivery by whatever means is most expedient. Capacity planning ensures you have the workers available to deliver product whenever needed, keeping your business competitive. Identify process inefficiency. When you start capacity planning, you have to ask, what is the maximum capacity of these resources? Whether you're looking at people, equipment, or product, you'll gain insight into what factor limits capacity, and you'll be able to easily spot bottlenecks that can be fixed or improved. For example, let's say you run a delivery business. A capacity planning reveals that the amount of time it takes your fleet manager to plan routes is preventing your business from being able to make on more deliveries. You realize that even though you have trucks, drivers, and products to deliver more orders, your fleet manager requires a lot of lead time in order to effectively plan routes for a new order. You could use this insight to replace your manual planning system with route optimization software. Lastly, the last benefits of capi- capacity planning is to facilitate risk management. At its core, effective capacity planning is a roadmap for your business. Both short and long-term capacity planning help businesses understand their strengths, weaknesses, and limitations. You'll be able to make informed decisions about how fast you should scale your business, when is the best time to launch a new product, and when you need to hire new employees. Capacity planning will better prepare you to overcome obstacle too. No matter how much capacity you do, you'll still need to be able to respond quickly when unexpected challenges arise. If your supplier suddenly goes out of business or 3 of your 10 deliveries come down with the flu, you'll need to have high-level plans in place to use as a guide so you can make smart adjustment quickly. Next slide, please. Process of capacity planning. Capacity planning is concerned with defining the long-term and the short-term capacity needs of an organization and determining how those needs will be satisfied. Capacity planning decisions are taken based upon the consumer demand, and this is merged with the human, material, and financial resources of the organization. So number 1, assessment of existing capacity. Capacity of a unit can be measured in terms of output or input. Output measure Output measure is appropriate in case of manufacturing concern. Example, automobile plant, number of cars, iron and steel plant, tons of steel, cannery, tons of woods, power company, megawatts of electricity, or etc. Service concerns like hospital, number of beds, airline, number of seats, restaurant, number of tables, university, number of students, warehouse, cubic feet of space, or etc. Can measure capacity in terms of input. So second is forecasting future capacity needs. Short-term capacity requirements can be estimated by forecasting product demand at different stages of the product life cycle. It is more difficult to anticipate long-term capacity requirement due to uncertainties of market and technology. Capacity forecasts help to determine the gap between the existing capacity and estimated capacity so that necessary adjustment may be made. For example, a company engaged in manufacturing through two products may find that one product has a low demand in summer, example coffee or tea, while another product has low demand in winter. Example of that is cold drink. So, and the third is identify alternatives way to modify capacity. In case where the existing capacity is inadequate to meet the forecast demand capacity, the expansion is required to meet the shortage. Additional shift may be employed to expand the capacity. Expansion will provide economies of scale and help in meeting the forecast demand, but it involves additional investment and danger of fall in forecast demand in the future. When the existing capacity exceeds forecast capacity, there is a need for reduction of exist capacity, developing new product, selling of existing facility, layout or workers, or getting work from other firms are the methods of overcoming it. The fourth one is evaluating financial, economical, and technological capacity alternatives. Various alternatives for capacity expansion or reduction are evaluated from economic, technical, and other viewpoints. Reaction of employees and local community should also be considered. Cost-benefit analysis and decision theory are the main techniques of evaluating alternatives. The last one is selecting a capacity alternative most suited to achieve a strategic mission. After performing the cost-benefit analysis of various alternatives to expand or reduce the capacity, the most appropriate alternative is selected. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rosel B. Marinay, one of the members of the Group 3 reporters, and to continue our report, capacity requirement planning helps organizations to take appropriate decisions on whether to expand existing capacity. So this is in order to match with the demand or quantity or outsource production activities so as to compensate the gap in demand versus the actual capacity. Next is the capacity measurement. So when measuring capacity, the unit of measure can be either an input or an output to the process. The key is to take the most logical unit that reflects the ability of the operation to create its product or service. However, kung ang input capacity measure is more complicated to measure such as machine hours on a process layout, kaya pwede nimo gamiton ang output capacity measure. So sa usa ka process di lang kay siya nga ang input capacity measure ang gamiton, but pwede nimo gamiton ang output capacity measure and vice versa. Capacity can be measured in two ways, the output measures and input measures. So output measures count the finished units from the process, such as mobile phones produced in a day or cars manufactured per week. So it is best utilized when applied to individual processes within the firm or when the firm provides a relatively small number of standardized services and products. So kaning measure is best used where there is low variety in the product mix or limited customization. So when we say product mix, it is also called as product assortment, which refers to the complete range of products that is offered for sale by the company. So in other words, the number of product lines that a company has for its customers is called as product mix. Next is the input measures. So input measures are generally used for low-volume, flexible processes such as those associated with custom furniture maker. So when using input measures of capacity, the measure selected is defined by the key input into the process, where the provision of capacity is fixed. So it is often easier to measure capacity by inputs. For example, room available in a hotel or seats at a conference venue. So input measures are most appropriate for small processes or where capacity is relatively fixed, or for highly customized or variable outputs such as complicated services. Next is the example of possible input or output measures, which shows the alternatives that can be used for input or output measures. So as you can see in the table, sama sa kong gingon ganiha nga sa usa ka process di lang kay ang input capacity measure ang pwede gamiton, but pwede siya ang output capacity measure. For example, music festival, ang input capacity measure kay square meters of land, while ang output capacity measure is the number of festival attendees. Next is the hotel. Ang input capacity measure is the rooms available, while the output capacity measure is the number of guests per week, and so on and so forth. As you can see in the table, capacity can be measured from looking at the operation as a whole and then calculated on the resources and facilities available and process time. A simple formula for capacity can be capacity is equal time available over time of task. Example, a fitness instructor works for 7 hours a day and he spends 70 minutes with each customer. How many clients could the instructor process during a 5-day week? So atong gamiton ang formula sa capacity, which is 7 hours times 60 minutes per hour times 5 over 70 minutes is equivalent to 30 clients per week. And that 30 clients per week can be expressed as the capacity of the fitness operation, meaning there are 30 clients that the instructor could process during a 5-day week. So capacity is defined under 3 categories: the design capacity, effective capacity, and the actual capacity. The operations utilization of resources and the efficiency of its processes can then be calculated using this. When we say design capacity, this is a theoretical number and not one that is applied to the daily production of an operation. Design capacity is the output that an operation can produce continuously at a maximum rate without stopping for any shift changeovers, maintenance, or any other delays. So, kaning design capacity kay mo na siya ang kanang process nga capable of producing under perfect conditions. And in some cases, this might be interpreted as maximum capacity kay wala siya mga stoppages and diretso-diretso na siya. Next is the effective capacity. So effective capacity considers how the operation will run on a long-term basis and how it will be staffed and how it will be maintained. So all planned stoppages under the normal working time frame are taken into consideration. So this can also be known as available capacity. So ang mga stoppages sa NINEA may include shift changeovers, lunch breaks, set-up times, and many other operational factors. Next is the actual capacity. Actual capacity is the same as effective capacity pero nanani siya ay unplanned losses as well as planned ones. So this could include poor work rate, absenteeism, or no staff training, for example. So the actual output plus unplanned losses is the same as effective capacity, therefore the operation which is working its asset efficiently is minimizing unplanned losses. So muna siya ang differences sa three categories of capacity nga akong gisulti a while ago. Next is so for the efficient use of the resources available, efficiency is output shown as a percentage of available capacity, which means that the total number of units of service that a contractor actually makes available in a current fiscal year. So ang iyang formula kay efficiency is equal to actual output over effective capacity. And for an operation that has been well designed, there will be minimal planned losses. This allows the resources to be used to the best of their ability. Capacity utilization is the measure of how much of the available capacity is used. Utilization is output shown as a percentage of the facilities or design capacity. And when we say design capacity, it is the maximum output of a structure, facility, processes, machine, tool, or component based on its design. It is the capacity that can be achieved under ideal conditions with unlimited resources such as labor, power, materials, and parts. So ang formula sa utilization kay actual utilization is equal to actual output over design capacity. Example, 10 electricians are available for 8 hours a day but with 2 coffee breaks of 15 minutes each and a half-hour lunch break. They actually work a 7-hour a day. Taking time off and illness into account reduces the electrician's available time by 20%. This means the 7 hours per day is reduced to a 5-hour and 36 minutes a day. The average call-out of each customer takes 1 hour. If actual work is only 200 hours billed in the week, then what is the capacity utilization of that team and what is their efficiency? So, ang first approach para ma-solve ni siya is you need to calculate the design capacity and the effective capacity. Then, gamiton na to ang actual output given above to calculate the capacity utilization and efficiency. So, muna siya ang solution. Design capacity is equal to 10 workers times 7 hours per day times 5 days of a working week over 1 hour per customer. So, design capacity is equivalent to 350 customers per week, while the effective capacity is equal to 10 workers times 5.6 hours per day times 5 days of a working week over 1 hour per customer. So, effective capacity is equivalent to 200 customers per week. So, if ato i-apply ang formula for efficiency, which is efficiency is equal to actual output nga 200 over effective capacity nga 280, then the efficiency of the process is 0.71 or 71%. While sa utilization, which is ang formula kay utilization is equal to actual output na 200 over design capacity nga 350, so the utilization of the process is 0.57 or 57%. Note that for this example, ang capacity kay determine siya by the difference between actual hours of work measured against available or attended hours na multiplied by the efficiency factor that takes into account current conditions katong ilang mga time off o illnesses. So that ends my report. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Margie Lucille Inavales, and I will be discussing the Material Requirements Planning. A material requirements planning system is a planning and decision-making tool used in the production process which analyzes current inventory levels versus production capacity and the need to manufacture goods based on forecast. So, ang isa ka business, especially the manufacturing business, need nila, ang operation sa ilahang business needs to be systematized. Labi na sa ilahang production unit where did to i-manufacture ang goods na ilahang ma-receive from their customers. And dapat ang ilahang managers, when they do the inventory, dapat nila mahibaw-an kung pila ang ilahang remaining stocks. In that manner, makahibaw sila kung pila na lang ka-materials ang ilang orderon and when sila need mo order to meet the customer's demand.
Here we have the major objectives of material requirements planning, which is A, it determines the quantity and timing of finished goods demanded. B, it determines the time-phased requirements of the demand for materials, components, and sub-assemblies over a specified planning time horizon. And C, it computes the inventories, work in process, batch sizes, and manufacturing and packing lead times. Letter D, it controls inventory by ordering materials and components in relation to orders received rather than ordering them from stock level viewpoint. So here, sa material requirements, ang major objective jud niya is to make or to produce a product which is maora ang gi-order sa atong customers or from our demand forecasts. For example, nag-order ato ang customer og skateboards na 10 units only. And then, wata kay baw, wata nag-check sa atong inventory if pila ka units ang nabilin or pila ka materials or ang nabilin sa atong stock. And then, wata kay baw nga 50 units pa di ang nabilin sa atong inventory. So, nag-order ta og 50 daan kay units sa atong suppliers. So, in that manner, we incur greater costs not knowing na daan 50 units sa atong inventory. Ang gi-order sa atong customers is only 10 units. So, napatay 40 units. And since wala man ta nag-check sa atong inventory, so ni-order din ta largo og 50 units. So, by that, natay ending inventory nga 90 units. So, mas nag-incur ta og greater cost from not knowing kung pila ka stock ang nabilin sa atong inventory. And then, by ang MRP sad iyang gi-assess pagdawat sa customer's order ang gihatag na specification sa customer. For example, the lot sizes, kung pila ang iyang gi-order, ang lead time, kung kano sa nato nadawat ang iyahang order, and sa time kung kanusaan niya giset ang due date or ang time na iyahan ang kwaon ang orders. And kung naman gani siya mga additional na demand, especially kung usa ta ka company where or isa ta ka business where we do customizations, so didto makabutang sa customer kung unsa ang iyang ipabuhat, and that list mao ra sad ato ang sundon. And also namalit ta og or ni-purchase ta og materials for atong gamiton lang, wala kay nag-purchase ta og materials para i-stock ra sa ato ang company and dili siya magamit. So that it would be so by that it would be impractical if mopalit ta og daghan kayong materials, if mo-purchase ta og daghan kayong materials and then gamay ra ditag orders. So here we have 3 basic steps of MRP. The first one is taking inventory of the materials and components on hand. So the managers would then do the inventory in order for them to know kung pila ang materials nga nabilin nga magamit sa production. And because of that, then nakaibaw na sila kung pila ang nabilin. So they will have an idea kung pila na lang sad ang ilahang paliton when in time nga naay customers order na maabot, which is the step number 2, identifying which additional ones are needed. And then proceed to the last step, which is then scheduling their production or purchase. So from the customer's order that they have received, mahibawaan nila kung kinsa nga order, kung kinsa nga customer ang nag-require ani nga time frame, if nag-order ba siya ng specific good for a span of 1 week, kung kinsa ang ilang i-prioritize na order, kung kinsa ang sayo ang due date or ang lead time. Then the next is we have an overview of the MRP system. First, we will be gathering the inputs from the customer's order and the demand forecast. Then, i-process siya sa madawat siya sa master production schedule, which is the general information about the orders from our customers and from the demand forecasts. And then after that, we'll proceed to the material requirements planning, where dito i-segment ang mga orders nga atong na-receive from our customers. Dito na nato ikuan kung pila ang nabilin sa inventory, kung pila ang kailangan natong paliton, kung pila ang kuwang para ma-meet ang customer specifications. And then after that, we will have our output, which is purchase orders, the material plan, work orders, and the reports. We will further discuss about this in the next slides. So we have here the three major inputs of the MRP system. The first one is the master production schedule, or the MPS. The second is the bill of material records, the BOM, and the last one is the inventory status records. The master production schedule is the schedule of the quantity and timing of all end products to be produced over a specific plan. So the MPS is comprised of the customer's orders or from forecasts of demand, or sa both. And ang MPS is the key input which drives the MRP program, as it tells what the company intends to produce. So just like what I have said earlier, ang MPS is the general information nga atong gamiton when we proceed to the material requirements planning. And then the second one, we have the bill of materials, or the BOM. A bill of materials is a comprehensive inventory of the raw materials, assemblies, sub-assemblies, parts, and components, as well as the quantities of each needed to manufacture a product. In short, it is the complete list of all the items that are required to build a product. To further discuss about the bill of materials, we have an illustration on the right side, a skateboard. So let's just put into an example ng imong business kay nagmanufacture mo og skateboard. So here, gilist ang tanan materials nga need to produce 1 unit of skateboard. We have here the wheels, which requires 4 units, the board, 1 unit, the axis, 2 units, the screws, 8 units, the tire, 1 unit, the rim, 1 unit, and the screws, 4 units. The last one is inventory status records, contain the status of all items and inventory, including on-hand inventory and scheduled receipts. These records must be kept up to date, with each receipt, disbursement, or withdrawal documented to maintain record integrity. So, kaning nga file, it contains important information, such as what items should be ordered and orders should be released. This file gives the complete and up-to-date information on the hand quantities, gross requirements, scheduled receipts, and planned order releases for the item. It also tells about lot sizes, lead time, safety stock levels. So from the information that we have received from our customers, we list them down. So from that information, kahibawta kung pila ang lot sizes, which is the orders of the quantity of our customer's order, its lead time, and also the safety stock level nga naa sa atuang company. And then let's proceed to the 4 main outputs of MRP system: the purchase orders, the material plan, the work orders, and the reports. The purchase orders, in this one, ang diri na state kung pila ang atuang i-order sa atong suppliers. For example, nag-order ang atuang customer og 50 units of skateboard. And from our inventory, we already have, from our beginning inventory, we have 30 units of sa atuang beginning inventory, ang available only is 30 units of skateboard. From that information, here we would know kung pila ang kailangan natong i-order ng materials from our suppliers to make and to produce the additional 20 units of skateboard. And then the material plan, kung at diri na to siya i-list kung pila ang magamit in 1 unit of manufacturing a 1 unit of skateboard, kung pila ang i-list na nato dito, kung pila ka tires magamit, kung pila ka wheels magamit, kung pila ka board ang magamit. In that way, dili ta magkasaag-saag na nakuwang ang atong supplies or nakuwang ang atong materials. And then, the third one is the work orders. So, kung pila ang time na ma-manufacture or mahuman na nato ang customer's order. So, diri mahibawaan na nato kung unsa ang status. So, diri sa work orders, mahibawaan nato kung pila katao ang gikinahanglan para to produce this order from our customer, kung pila ang time na needed. For example, ang atong customer na order siya og 100 units of skateboard, and so by that information, in span of 3 weeks, so kanang information, we would know kung pila katao ang gikinahanglan sa production to meet the specified due date or specified lead time nga gihatag sa ato ang customers. And then our reports kung unsa ang status sa ato ang pag-produce or pag-manufacture ani nga specific orders. For example, kuwang ra day ang 3 weeks, so we need a lot of, or ang 3 weeks dili di maigo kung ang 20 na katao ang mubuhat sa 100 orders. So by that, we would know kung unsa ang kailangan natong buhaton to fill in the gaps when we manufacture the skateboards, the 100 units of skateboards. And now we are in the MRP process. So let's assume that our company is a manufacturing company where we make desk. So we have here our safety stock of 20 units, our fixed order quantity, which is by 80 units. So let's put this into batches. So first, our batch 1, kailangan by ma-order ta by batch. So first batch muna siya ang, or batch number 1 is 80 units. And then we have our lead time, which is for only 1 week. Here we have, in our table, we have our period, our gross requirements, our scheduled receipts, our on-hand units, or net requirements, our planned order receipts, and the planned order releases. So in period 1, we have an ending inventory of 60 units, and also an ending inventory of 60 units since there is no orders in that period. In period 2, we know that we already have received a customer order on period that is due on period 3. So pag period 2, ni order tag 80 because in period 3 ang atong order is 80 units and we have our beginning inventory is only 60 units. So by that, kakabauta nakuha ang atoang quantity nga nasa atoang stock. So 80 minus 60 equals 20 units. And that 20 units kuwang na nato nga units to meet the customer's order. And we also need to maintain a safety stock of 20. So by that 20, mo add ta og 20 units. So it will now become 40. Since ni order naman ta og 80 and period 3 na natay 80. So 60 plus 80, it will give us 140. So 140 units, i-minus na to siya sa 80 units sa customers. So it will give us 60 units, and that 60 units will be our ending inventory for period 3. On period 4, since wala man tay orders, we will have a 60 units of beginning and ending inventory. On period 5, naka-receive tog order of 190. So ang naa nato pag period 6, 190 units ang order sa atong customers. And we only have 60 units in our beginning inventory. 190 units minus 60 units that we have it will give us 130, but then we need to maintain a safety stock of 20 units. So by that, 130 plus 20 units will give us 150 units. So since the order naman ta 160 pag period 6, nanatay 160. So 60 plus 160, it will give us 220. 220 atong i-minus sa 190, which is our customer's order. It will give us 30 units, which will become our ending inventory. On period 7, naka-receive na sa taong order, which will be due on period 8, which is 310 units. So, pag period 8, 310 units, i-minus na to siya sa 30, na ato ang beginning inventory. So, kailangan taog additional 310 minus 30, 280. But then, again, we need to maintain a safety stock of 20 units. So, kailangan nato siya mag-add of 20 units. So, it will give us 300 units. But since ang ato ang fixed order quantity is by 80 units, so kailangan ta mo order og 4 batches. 80 times 4, it will give us 320 units. So, pag period 8, ang 310 units na order sa atong customers, kay naatay 30 nga beginning inventory atong i-add sa atong gi-order nga 320 units, we have 350 units. Atong i-minus sa customer's order ng 310 units. So, our ending inventory is only 40 units, which covers our safety stock of 20 units. So next slide, we have here our definition of terms. The item, which is the name or number for the item being scheduled. Katong desk, low level code, lowest level of the item on the product structure file. The lot size, order multiplies of quantities. The lead time from when an order is placed to when it is received. The PD, the past due time bucket, orders behind schedule. The gross requirements, which is the demand for an item by time period. The scheduled receipts, the material already ordered. Projected on hand, expected ending inventory, or net requirements, the number of items to be provided, and when. Our planned order receipts, net requirements adjusted for lot sizes. And our planned order releases, the planned order receipts offset for lead times. So thank you, and that would be all for my report.